Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, the only podcast where the news is hot, my coffee is cold, and my cousin Earl keeps texting me asking whether NATO stands for not another tractor order. And honestly, some days I think he's right. We got ourselves a doozy of a week, folks. America's government is melting like a gas station burrito under a heat lamp. The economy's soaring and crashing at the same time. Lasers are shooting down balloons at the border, and the Olympics are arresting people for caring too hard. So let's dive into this week's edition before something else catches on fire. Segment 1. Tariffs, purges, and whatever constitutional crisis this is. Well, folks, Congress finally told the president no, which I know sounds like the setup to a fairy tale, but I promise this part actually happened. Republicans and Democrats teamed up to smack down Trump's new Canada tariffs, which is wild because Congress normally can't agree on whether water is wet. The president threatened primaries, exile, banishment, and probably a strongly worded Truth Social post, written in all caps. But even that didn't stop him. Representative Thomas Massey was out there yelling about the Constitution like he was auditioning for Hamilton. Meanwhile, up at the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi is firing officials faster than Earl fires his shotgun at raccoons that look suspicious. Gail Slater lasted about as long as a gallon of milk in my fridge before she got axed for unauthorized travel and not being deregulatory enough. Then New York appointed a prosecutor, and the DOJ fired him before he finished hanging his coat on the hook. It's like musical chairs, but with federal jobs. And every time the music stops, someone's escorted out by security. And let me tell you, if Congress ever does run out of chairs, Earl's got 3 broken lawn chairs he duct-taped together specifically for constitutional emergencies. Segment 2. Operation Metro Surge and the federal "we didn't do a cover-up, we just cleaned too hard" crisis. Over in Minnesota, the immigration sweep known as Operation Metro Surge collapsed like a folding table under a 500-pound uncle at a family reunion. They detained 4,000 people, half of whom probably just wanted to pick up their DoorDash order. Then Tom Homan announced he was pulling out 700 agents immediately, which is the federal version of saying, "We're going to take a break and work on ourselves." But the big bombshell? The shooting of U.S. citizen Alex Pretty, which DHS seems determined to investigate by removing every piece of evidence and shipping the officers out of state like they were witness protection houseplants. State investigators showed up, and DHS basically told them, "This is our mess. Go get your own crime scene." It's so blatant, Earl said, "Dang, even I wouldn't try a cover-up that obvious." And Earl once tried to hide a broken window by taping a picture of a window over it. Now Congress is threatening to shut down the entire Department of Homeland Security unless ICE and CBP start wearing name tags like they're working at Walmart. Public polling says 60% of Americans believe the president's gone too far, which is impressive, because historically, it takes a lot more than this to get Americans to agree on anything, like pineapple on pizza, or whether NASCAR is a sport. Spoiler, it is. Segment 3. The economy is thriving, dying, exploding, imploding, and buying a condo at the Waldorf. The Dow crossed 50,000 this week, which sounds fake but apparently isn't. The S&P 500 hit 7,000. Investors are euphoric, champagne is flowing, and Earl is convinced this means he can finally sell his vintage Beanie Baby collection for retirement money. But while the big indexes rise, the tech sector is face-planting so hard, it needs a chiropractor. Every single software stock went red. And not, "I got a sunburn" red. I mean, someone nuked the sector from orbit red. Turns out investors think AI is about to replace every office worker, software license, and probably my cousin Randy. And they might be right, because Goldman Sachs just partnered with an AI company to automate its entire internal workforce. Which is rich, because if there's anything I want robots doing, it's definitely the banking. Nothing bad ever happens when you combine robots and money. Earl tried it once by letting his Roomba suck up quarters from the couch cushions. It did not end well. Meanwhile, gold, silver, and Bitcoin all went down together like they made a suicide pact. And over at the Waldorf Astoria, the Chinese owners are selling it after a renovation so expensive it makes my truck repairs look reasonable. 8 years, $1 billion over budget, fewer rooms, more condos. It's basically the world's fanciest storage unit now. I'd move in myself if they weren't going to charge me $9,000 a month for a closet with heritage charm. Segment 4, NATO 3.0, border lasers, and the Pentagon. Having a very loud, weird month. Now let's talk national security, which this week feels like a Mad Libs page someone spilled energy drinks on. The United States unveiled something called NATO 3.0, which sounds like a video game expansion pack, where Europe fights its own battles while America focuses on the Pacific and the Western Hemisphere. Earl thought Western Hemisphere meant Montana, but I explained it's actually everything from Canada to Chile, and he said, "Well, dang, that's too far for my truck anyway." But the real chaos? The Pentagon shut down El Paso airspace for 10 whole days because they thought a weather balloon was a drone. And then we found out Border Patrol was using a laser weapon, an actual laser weapon, inside U.S. airspace. It's like the feds watched Star Wars and said, "Hold my beer." On top of that, a federal judge told the Pentagon they can't punish Senator Mark Kelly for saying the military shouldn't follow unlawful orders. And the Pentagon cut ties with Harvard, which is a bold strategy considering Harvard still thinks they own half of Washington's brain cells. Meanwhile, Jared Kushner is out brokering prisoner exchanges between Ukraine and Russia, because apparently our foreign policy now runs on real estate mogul diplomacy. If he fixes world peace, Earl says we have to let him host Wheel of Fortune. Segment 5. Cutting science, killing climate policy, and telling researchers good luck out there. Over at Health and Human Services, RFK Jr. dropped a budget so harsh scientists are calling it the biomedical Thanos snap. NIH loses $18 billion. CDC loses $4 billion. Indirect research costs get capped so hard, universities are going to start holding bake sales to fund cancer trials. NSF scientists are already in the parking lot selling brownies for lab equipment. And I'd buy some. But Earl insists we only eat brownies from people we trust, which is nobody in a lab coat. The NIH also banned fetal tissue research, redirecting funds to computers and organoids, which sounds like the scientific equivalent of replacing your car engine with a blender. And then HHS clawed back $600 million in public health grants from blue states, which is one way to balance the budget if you don't care who gets sick. Meanwhile, the EPA officially revoked the foundational climate finding that justified environmental regulations. They rolled it back so hard, the Earth itself texted me saying, "Bruh." They say it'll save every household $2,400, which is great, because we'll need that money to buy inflatable pontoons for our houses. And in food news, the FDA decided to rethink how it verifies no artificial colors, which I'm sure will end perfectly and not result in my cereal glowing in the dark. Segment 6. Super Bowl glory, Olympic drama, and a missing person mystery straight out of a movie. Let's close with the culture and sports tornado. The The Seattle Seahawks stomped the Patriots 29-13, which means Boston fans are now experiencing sadness for the first time since 1994. Kenneth Walker III ran so hard he became the first running back in almost 30 years to win Super Bowl MVP. And the kicker tied a field goal record, which is impressive because most kickers collapse under pressure, like a folding chair, at Earl's birthday cookout. Meanwhile, in the Winter Olympics, Ukrainian skeleton racer Vladislav Heraskevich got disqualified for refusing to remove a helmet honoring fallen athletes. Now, I get the neutrality rules, but kicking someone out for caring too much feels like peak Olympics energy. Team USA is crushing it, though. Ilya Malinin is quad-jumping like gravity owes him money. Chloe Kim is dominating the halfpipe like she owns stock in it. And Breezy Johnson snagged downhill gold, while Lindsey Vonn crashed out like she hit a patch of philosophical ice. But the darkest story of the week: Nancy Guthrie, mother of Savannah Guthrie, has been missing for 11 days. The FBI released footage of a masked, armed figure at her door the night she disappeared. No suspect, no leads, just a family waiting and a country watching. Even Earl got quiet when he heard that. And trust me, that man hasn't been quiet since he swallowed a kazoo in 2012. In conclusion, folks, the world is spinning, the government's juggling, the economy's yodeling, the Pentagon's firing lasers, and the Olympics are policing helmets. If America were a car, every warning light would be flashing. But we'd still be flooring it down the interstate with a 64-ounce soda and a prayer. Stay safe, stay sane, and as always, stay poorly educated. Because apparently, that's the only way to understand what's going on anymore.